So g'day and welcome back to BuildSim, and as you can see I'm set up to do another section through video, and this time it's going to be a section through a cut-in or timber frame building with the cut-in floor. So it's a little bit similar to our brick veneer building with a platform floor. However, there are some differences which I'll point out as we go through. So similar to the last video, you can see again I've got a strip footing set up which will run around the perimeter of the building, and we've got holes dug for our blob footings. So the first thing we need to do is to put our reinforcement in for our strip footing. So you could either use trench mesh and clips, or in this case I've got bars and stirrups all sitting up on bar chairs and placed in the centre of the trench so that we get a good cover on both sides of our reinforcement. No reinforcement required for our blob footing, and this should be inspected by the council inspector or the private certified before pouring. But once they've poured, you can pour them, and you can see we've kept them down roughly about a course of brickwork so that we can cover them up later on, and the same with our blob footing over here. Then we can start our brickwork. So we have our dwarf wall with our vents built in to allow airflow underneath the floor, and of course our engaged pier on the back of our dwarf wall, and our isolated pier out here to support our bearers. Then our damp-proof course and our ant capping. And here's the first main change, is that the ant capping here is actually double-sided, so it has a turn down on this edge as well, so that if the termites were to come up in between the bricks and go this way, they would have to go around this lip as well. Now normally what happens is when the house gets built, people will bend that back down flat against the brickwork. Not the best thing to do, but you know, people just cut the legs on it or whatever, so normally it gets bent back out of the road, or gets bent and flattened and covered up with the cladding. And so it's not the best thing to do, but that's what happens. So once we've got our damp-proof course and our ant cap down, we can then put in our bearer, and this time the bearer goes all the way out till it's flush with the outside of the brickwork, still maintaining the 400mm distance off the ground for the majority of the building. You can actually, within 2 metres of the dwarf wall, the ground can slope back up to about 150mm off the bearer, but only for the 2 metres around the wall. Otherwise, the majority of the building, you have to have 400mm clearance underneath your bearer. So the bearer's down, we can then put our joists in. You'll notice this time I've got a double joist here, and this joist is actually flush with the outside of the brickwork. The reason for the double joist, I'll show you in a second, is so that when we put the wall on here, because this is what we call a cut-in floor, the wall's going to go in first, and then we're going to cut the flooring in between the walls. Whereas last time, the platform floor, we put the flooring down first, so it's a little bit different. So there's the wall, and you can see that because I've spaced this apart, and the wall sits half on this joist and gives us half the joist to sit our flooring on. Alright, so that's a timber frame building with a cut-in floor, just at the part of the cut-in floor. In the next video, I'll take you through the rest of the wall and the rest of the construction sequence.